Oh, why, what have you... Tara McCulley sits beside her 19-year-old daughter, Kiara. Unbeknownst to her, both of their lives are about to change forever.
The deceased person in your garage. That's why it's a crime scene.
There's a body in there?
Yes.
A dead body in your
Stand up for me.
Kiara is a deranged teenage killer. She just brutally killed her ex-girlfriend with a 3-foot-long sword. The body lies in her mother's home just feet away. But this discovery of a body would be just the start. The investigation that followed would reveal a vile teenage couple whose actions left officers, family members, and detectives in utter shock as their horrifying crimes slowly began coming to light.
I don't have all the information right now.
You can see like slashed on her knee.
She's missing a ear.
And then there's a big ass sword, and then there's blood stains all over the bed.
I walked into the garage. She goes, "Oh, I just did it."
Let's walk this way.
Before her name became the center of headlines, Grace Jennings was simply Grace, a young woman trying to navigate life with all its complications. She grew up in a fragmented environment, bouncing between homes, friends' couches, and temporary living arrangements. People who knew her described her as artistic, sensitive, and emotional, someone who wanted belonging more than anything. Grace struggled with mental health issues, identity questions, and unstable relationships. She was young, vulnerable, and sometimes lost. The type of teenager who could easily fall into unhealthy dynamics.
Have you ever thought about hurting her or killing her?
I've had a couple dreams like that.
And how would you kill her?
Depending on the dream.
So there's several dreams.
Yes.
One of those dynamics was her past relationship with Kiara McCulley. Their relationship was turbulent, a cycle of intense affection followed by jealousy, arguments, and emotional swings that neither girl knew how to control. But no one, not even Grace, could have predicted how dangerous that connection would eventually become. Kiara McCulley grew up in Santa Fe, living with her mother and struggling with her own emotional instability. She was withdrawn, impulsive, and deeply insecure. Those who knew her described her as someone who could be sweet and quiet one moment, and emotionally volatile the next. She often felt misunderstood and isolated, but everything changed when she met a young man named Isaac Apodaca. Isaac was charismatic in a dark, intense way. He presented himself as someone with insight and authority, someone who understood the world differently, who didn't follow rules, who embraced violent fantasies. Psychologists would later describe Isaac as manipulative, controlling, and dangerously persuasive. To Kiara, who desperately wanted approval and validation, Isaac became the center of her world. He was someone to impress, someone to obey, someone she believed she needed to keep close at any cost. Their relationship became toxic fast. Weeks before the murder, Kiara and Isaac had begun exchanging messages that alarmed investigators.
So from the time it began would be yesterday. We were all hanging out. Everybody was talking, happy, normal kind of thing, nonchalant. Nighttime came around and we started falling asleep. Kiara McCulley did not fall asleep. I did not get good rest because she had been placing something sharp in my back throughout the morning hours. She had been placing something sharp in my back. And I was talking to Grace, who was in the garage as well. I said, we have to go. She's telling us we need to leave. And I said that, and then I proceeded to start packing my stuff. And I left to the main house to go use the restroom for the last time. And then I walked back into the garage. She walks up to me and goes, "I did it." With a smile on her face, and I looked at the ground and I was like, what do I do now? So I called my mom immediately to let her know that something happened. My mom proceeded to call 911 to let the dispatcher know exactly what happened. And the dispatcher called me to make sure everything was okay. I got greeted by the cops because they detained me, which was normal. But they noticed that I was freaking out. Everybody that was around me was noticing I was freaking out. I was really scared because I've witnessed... Sorry.
It's okay.
I've witnessed my friend getting shot. So,
Separately from this?
Yes, it was a while back. I was asked to be his best man at his wedding. And I was sitting in the back seat. Guy walked up, blew his brains out. They landed on me. I had to testify in court, and I'm super... Anything like this gets me super traumatized, and it's a traumatic event.
I can imagine.
And I saw my friend laying on the ground. This is going to be back to when I went back in the garage. When I saw her in the ground, on the ground, I was like, I couldn't say anything because I was like, this is another one of my friends gone.
The tone was dark, strange, and increasingly violent. Isaac wrote about loyalty. He wrote about obedience. He wrote about the idea of proving devotion. Their conversations hinted at fantasies of harming others, including Grace Jennings. Investigators later described these messages as a blueprint for manipulation.
When did this plan start? Because this was planned.
She planned it out.
Grace planned it out?
No, not Grace. Kiara planned it out.
Kiara planned it out. When? How long had this been a plan for?
She had planned it out since 2020.
Kiara planned to kill Grace since 2020.
Yes.
And you knew about it since 2020.
Yes, and I had been going to counseling because of this.
Okay. And that's the opportunity for this?
I didn't see it as an opportunity. I saw it as an opportunity more like, let's squash everything.
Then why are you saying that you'll make it up the ranks plus your perks in the black market since this is your first? Because you're talking about killing her here, right? What else could this mean? Remember, you'll move up in the ranks plus you get perks in the black market since this is your first? What else would you be talking about here?
I was trying to talk about something else because I'm trying to get my mind off. That's Call of Duty.
That's Call of Duty. Tell me when. Okay, I'll give a count. 6, 5, I can't yet, dude. 4, I'm shaking, dude. I know, I lose the nervous. Help me drive it through. Help me drive it through? What do you mean, help me drive it through?
She was asking me to
stab her?
Yes, and I didn't want to do any...
She was asking, help me drive what? The sword, the dagger, the butterfly knife, what?
The dagger.
Help me drive the dagger through Grace. If you can't do it, I'll place on her for you to watch. Want me to do that? This ends now. I'm getting a sword. I can get Christian to help and Chris. This ends now. I know. Dagger, cause the sword will need to be hidden. She is awake. I don't know if I have the strength. Her phone screen is dim. Also, if you can't do it, I'll have them do it and it will still count as your first. I'll just rewrite the report and submit it to the black market heads.
The report with the black market heads was something I have been writing down and I'm trying to leave. It was something I'm trying to leave behind.
Tell me more about that.
It was a group of dangerous people that I was associated with, and they needed a report, and when I said this was your first on the report, it'll still count as your first, I was like, I was telling her, because as I was texting it out, she came and talked to me after she had stopped prodding me. She had talked to me and said, so what now? And I was like, this is going to be your first way out if you just leave this alone. I actually contacted a friend named Christian, and they already had a ride and everything. They were going to pick up Grace and take her.
And they would kill her?
No. They were going to take her to their house.
And it'll still count as your first. Okay. Kiara, let me do this. I'm using Zira. What's Zira?
That's the sword.
Oh, Zira's the name of the sword?
Yes.
And then you say, and deposit your Bitcoin in your crypto wallet. Payment? Some kind of payment? Bitcoin, crypto wallet?
It was to get her to shut up.
It was to get her to shut up?
Yes.
You're going to falsify her first and deposit Bitcoin in her crypto wallet to get her to shut up?
Yes.
She says, grab a knife now. You're helping me end this. You say, then end it. She says, I'm done waiting and playing nice. Help me now. Show me the ropes. What is she talking about, show me the ropes?
She was asking me to help her do what she wanted to do to Grace.
Tell me what that means. Just swing and don't regret the aim.
It was me telling her if she was going to do something, she should do it, and I didn't want to be a part of it. I had all my stuff.
What is holding you back? Type it. You're edging her to do this. Come on, Isaac. Look at all these messages, man. You're going to sit here and tell me, you're going to look me in the eye and you're going to tell me that you were trying to talk her out of this? I can see right here you're telling her to do it. What the hell happened last night, man? Why did you want her to do this?
I didn't want her to do this.
Why are you pushing her to do this?
I was trying to, as the messages are going through, she kept coming back and forth to talk to me. I had enough of that.
Hope, love. You say, well, at what percentage are they? She says, I don't know. You say you still love her. You have hope in her.
Isaac positioned himself as the mastermind. Kiara was the follower, and Grace was becoming a target. To Isaac, Grace was a threat. To Kiara, she was a symbol of jealousy and emotional conflict. And to both of them, for very different reasons, Grace's presence felt like a problem they believed they could solve. Tara, unaware of the toxic dynamics, agreed to let her sleep there for the night. Grace lay down on a mattress in a small room near the hallway. She had no idea she was in danger. She had no idea someone was planning to hurt her. What happens next is among the most brutal acts detectives in Santa Fe had ever seen. In the early morning hours of October 29th, the house was silent. Grace was lying on her mattress, likely half asleep or resting. Kiara walked into the room carrying a sword, a genuine 3-foot-long blade. It was almost theatrical in size, something you'd expect in a medieval reenactment or a fantasy movie. Not a suburban home. There was no argument, no confrontation, no warning, just violence. The sword came down with force so extreme, Grace was nearly decapitated. The attack was rapid, savage, and deeply personal. The forensic report later described the wounds as catastrophic. Blood soaked the mattress, the floor, the sword, and Kiara herself. When it was over, Kiara quietly stepped out of the room, wiped her face, and sat next to her mother as if nothing had happened. This level of emotional detachment has stunned investigators. The discovery was almost accidental. Police arrived at the home due to a welfare concern unrelated to the murder. But immediately, officers sensed something was wrong. The smell of blood was faint but unmistakable. Kiara's demeanor seemed odd, emotionless, distant, robotic. When officers began inspecting the home, they asked if anyone else was present. Kiara didn't respond clearly. She didn't confess. She didn't deny. She just stared. Then officers approached the small room. They opened the door and froze. The crime scene inside was so graphic, so violently overwhelming, that even the most experienced officers hesitated before stepping inside. Grace's body lay where she had been attacked. The sword was on the floor, covered in blood. The walls and mattress were soaked. It was a slaughter. When Tara McCulley realized what had been in her home the entire time, she collapsed in shock. The idea that her daughter, her child, had committed such an unimaginable act was too much to process. And worse, she had been sitting beside Kiara after the murder, completely unaware. Once at the police station, Kiara's emotional flatness continued. Investigators described her as calm, almost detached from reality. She didn't cry. She didn't panic. Instead, she kept mentioning one name, Isaac. According to Kiara, Isaac pressured her. Isaac manipulated her. Isaac convinced her that Grace needed to die.
Isaac came back and I started feeling frustrated because she wasn't listening to me at all. So I got up and I left for a while. Ow.
You're right. What's your cut from?
I dropped a knife last night, which was what I was just about to mention.
That's a tough spot to get a cut at.
Yeah, it's
Your skin moves a lot.
actually where I was about to go. I left and went in the house for a bit and decided to try and make something. I dropped the stupid knife and grabbed it wrong. Got mad and I just walked out of the house for a few minutes. Just like,
Isaac denied involvement. He claimed Kiara acted alone, but the evidence suggested otherwise. To prosecutors, Isaac was not just a boyfriend, but the architect of the crime. Forensic specialists testified that the sword matched all the wounds on Grace's body. Blood spatter indicated a swift, sudden attack. Grace likely died within seconds. Kiara's clothing contained high-velocity blood patterns. The weapon showed no signs of hesitation marks. The attack involved rage, adrenaline, and intent. The near decapitation was the most disturbing aspect. In 2025, Kiara made a decision that changed everything. She pleaded guilty to second-degree murder. She agreed to testify against Isaac. A move prosecutors believe confirmed Isaac's level of influence. Kiara now faces decades in prison. Isaac faces the possibility of life. Families on both sides broke down in court, devastated by the loss of 3 young lives. Grace's life violently taken. Kiara's life destroyed by one horrific act. Isaac's life consumed by manipulation and obsession. There were no winners here, only victims. Detectives who worked the scenes say they'll never forget it. Not because of the brutality alone, though that was shocking enough, but because it involved teenagers. Grace's family continues to mourn her. Kiara's family remains shattered. Isaac's trial will finalize his fate. What remains is a chilling reminder of how dangerous manipulation can be, especially when the person being manipulated is already vulnerable. If this case shocked you, you're not alone. Even investigators struggle to understand how a crime this brutal could unfold inside an ordinary family home. Tell us in the comments, do you believe Kiara acted out of manipulation or free will? Your insights help shape future investigations. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss a new episode.